of three public workshops. Welcome to the last of three public workshops for the amendment to the 2021 regional plan. I'm Kirsten Yucatan, a planner in the environmental compliance group at SANDAG. I'm joined by Lauren Lee, a fellow planner, and Keith Greer, manager of environmental compliance for SANDAG. We are here to provide information on the amendment to the 2021 regional plan, answer any questions, and take public comments. We're going to start with a brief presentation on the amendment. We have enabled the Q&A feature of the webinar, so please put any questions you might have in the Q&A so we can answer them at the conclusion of the presentation. This is being recorded, and I should also note that we will answer any questions and transcribe any comments, and they will be included in the final version of the amendment. Next slide, please. In September 2022, the board directed staff to prepare an amendment to the 2021 regional plan, removing the regional road usage charge. In keeping with the direction from our board, the amendment includes no new construction, no changes to the transportation network, no land use changes, no changes to the programs and policies of the 2021 regional plan, and no changes to the cost assumptions. In addition to removing the regional revenue assumptions were updated, and new modeling was completed to assess the impacts of removing the regional RUC on GHG emissions and air quality standards. The model used for the amendment was the same model used for the 2021 regional plan with two updates. The first update addressed the software bug for the cross-border portion of the model so that the results more accurately reflect cross-border traffic flow. And the second update adjusted the allocation of employees at large employment centers in the region to more accurately reflect the concentration of employees at those sites. Next slide, please. The draft amendment is out for public comment through next Tuesday, August 8th. In addition to today's workshop, there are multiple ways to comment. The amendment has a page on the SANDAG website, screenshotted on this slide, under the Regional Plan tab. There you can find the draft amendment and appendices, as well as an email address for comment, a physical mailing address, and an online comment form. In addition to the amendment, pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, SANDAG has prepared a draft supplemental environmental impact report addressing the environmental impacts of the amendment. That is also out for public comment from now through August 28th. Today's workshop is focused solely on the amendment, and so we won't be taking questions or comments on the supplemental EIR. But if you would like to comment, please visit the amendment webpage, and there are a variety of options for how to participate in that process. Next slide, please. As part of the amendment, SANDAG was required to determine how removing the regional RUC would impact the region's ability to meet the GHG reduction targets set by the California Air Resources Board under SB 375. This table compares the GHG reductions achieved under the 2021 regional plan and the amendment, and you can see that we achieved lower VMT or vehicle miles traveled and greater GHG reductions under the 2021 regional plan, 20.4%. The amendment achieves only an 18.6% reduction. However, CARB guidelines allow us to round that up to 19, and so we do meet CARB's 19% target. Next slide, please. Also, as part of the amendment, we were required to update the revenue assumptions. The first line of this table shows the revenue loss as a result of removing the regional RUC. The second line shows the revenue that had been anticipated in the 2021 regional plan from the initiative funding measure that did not make the ballot in 2022. The third line shows the Transnet revenues approved by our board in April of 22. And the fourth and fifth line shows updated state and federal funding revenues, largely resulting from money available under the American Jobs and Infrastructure Act, which was passed after the adoption of the 2021 regional plan. Taken together, these updated assumptions reduce total revenues by just under $8 billion. Next slide, please. Although the amendment reduces revenues by $8 billion, the 2021 regional plan had projected a surplus of $10 billion by 2050. So there remains enough revenue to cover the costs of the 2021 plan. And instead of a $10 billion funding surplus, there will be about a quarter of that under the amendment. Next slide, please. In addition to updating revenues and analyzing the amendment's impacts on GHG reduction targets, SANDAG also analyzed the amendment's impacts on air quality. The performance measures set out in the 2021 regional plan and the impacts to disadvantaged communities. The analysis shows that the amendment meets federal air quality standards, including ozone, for which our region is non-attainment. Removing the RUC had very minor impacts to the network performance measures set out in the 2021 regional plan. And removing the regional RUC did not result in any disparate or disproportionate impacts to disadvantaged communities. All of the data and analysis supporting these conclusions, as well as the details of the GHG impact analysis and updated revenue assumptions, can be found online on the amendment webpage. Next slide, please. So next steps. After public comment closes next week, the amendment will be finalized and brought back to the SANDAG board for consideration. That draft will include responses to comments received during the public comment period. The amendment is expected to go to the SANDAG board in October, along with a supplemental environmental impact report. Should the board adopt the amendment and certify the SAIR, the amendment will then be submitted to federal and state agencies for approval, which would be anticipated to occur in November. Next slide, please. So that concludes the presentation, and we can now turn to questions, and then we will follow with comments. As I said before, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A so that we can answer them. And when we turn to comments, they will be timed and you will see the timer on the screen. Comments will be transcribed and included in the final version of the amendment. And should you have any comments to share after this meeting, please go to our website and use either the comment tool on the amendment webpage or the email address, or you can physically mail your comments. Do we have any questions, Lauren?
And right now, we do not have any hands raised for questions in the Q&A.
So seeing no questions, is there anyone who would like to make a comment? If you'd like to, please raise your hand so that Lauren can unmute you. Just seeing if there are any comments anyone would like to make, and if so, please raise your hand so that Lauren can unmute you. While we're waiting to see that, I do want to remind everyone that these public workshops have been recorded and they are posted on the website. This one will be posted shortly after conclusion. And questions and comments made in those meetings can be accessed by watching those recordings. So seeing that we have no questions or comments, we're going to adjourn the workshop. I want to thank everyone for attending. And again, remind you to please go to the amendment website page. If you would like to see past workshops, hear previous comments, or submit a comment between now and August 8th, when the comment period will close on the amendment. Thank you very much.